Welcome back to the Chanel USD Coins, to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and the treasures hidden in plain sight. Today, we're uncovering the mystery and extraordinary story behind one of the most intriguing and highly sought-after coins in American numismatic history, the 1995 Liberty 1-cent coin, a penny that, under the right circumstances, has been valued at a staggering $5.9 million. That's right. $5.9 million for a coin that originally cost only a single cent to own. This isn't just any coin. It's a coin riddled with peculiarities, minting anomalies, and captivating history, which have all contributed to its rise in value and prestige among collectors and enthusiasts. The average person might not give much thought to the humble penny. Often tossed into jars, left behind on sidewalks, or forgotten in drawers, the 1-cent coin usually flies under the radar. But every now and then, a specific version of a penny becomes a hot topic, turning heads in the collector community. And among all the remarkable coins ever minted by the United States Mint, the 1995 Liberty 1-cent coin has etched its place into the annals of numismatic legend, primarily because of its extremely rare errors and striking imperfections. The tale begins with the context of the 1990s. A decade that saw the U.S. Mint making considerable efforts to improve its coin production quality and efficiency. However, even with the most rigorous standards, the minting process was not immune to mistakes. In 1995, one such mistake would create a piece of monetary art so rare, so mysterious, that its value would skyrocket decades later. That year, a small batch of Lincoln cents left the mint bearing errors that collectors would not immediately identify. It wasn't until years later that numismatists began to notice strange anomalies in some coins from that mintage. The most famous of these errors is the doubling of the profile of Abraham Lincoln, which appeared on the obverse, the front, of the coin. This error, known as the 1995 double die obverse, features a noticeable doubling of the inscriptions, Liberty and, In God We Trust. At a glance, it may seem like a simple mechanical oversight. But to collectors, this doubling signifies something incredibly special, a genuine double die, not just a minor or superficial misalignment. Double dies occur during the minting process when the hub that impresses the coin's design onto the die slips or shifts slightly between strikes, causing elements of the design to be stamped twice in slightly different positions. This creates a ghosting or shadow effect on parts of the design, which can be visibly seen without magnification. In the case of the 1995 Lincoln cent, the doubling is particularly prominent. The Liberty inscription and the In God We Trust motto show clear signs of being stamped twice. And it's not just a mild blur, these are sharp, distinct impressions that make this variety of the penny instantly recognizable to the trained eye. The result is a dramatic visual distinction that transforms an ordinary coin into a rare anomaly. But what truly sets this specific 1995 Lincoln cent apart, driving its estimated face value to $5.9 million, is not merely the double die error. There are also several compounding factors and other unique characteristics that have been observed in certain specimens, making them exceedingly rare. One such factor is the presence of a misplaced or unusual mint mark. The mint mark, typically a small D for Denver or P for Philadelphia, signifies the mint facility where the coin was produced. In some of the 1995 era coins, the mint mark appears to be misaligned, improperly sized, or even missing altogether. These issues indicate flaws during the die creation or stamping process, further increasing the rarity and desirability of the coin. It's important to understand that not all 1995 double die pennies are worth millions. The vast majority of them, even if they show signs of doubling, are typically valued between $20 to $50 in circulated condition and a few $100s in uncirculated condition. However, the extremely rare specimens, the ones that carry the perfect storm of doubling, misprints, planchet anomalies, and mint mark oddities, are the coins that become legendary. It is believed that only a handful of these ultra-rare examples exist, and they have become the holy grail for advanced collectors, some of whom are willing to pay upwards of 7 figures to add one to their collections. So why does this particular coin command such an astronomical price tag in these rare cases? It's partly due to rarity, but also the significance of the mistake, the context in which it occurred, and the dramatic nature of the visual errors. Coins that tell a story, especially ones involving clear and distinct human error during an otherwise automated and precise process, are like historical documents. They offer a glimpse into a moment when the system faltered, when the machinery or the human element introduced something unintentional yet remarkable. Another factor influencing the astronomical value is the coin's condition. In numismatics, condition is everything. A rare coin in poor condition may not be worth much, while the same coin in mint, uncirculated, or proof condition can fetch an enormous premium. Grading agencies such as the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, evaluate coins based on criteria such as luster, strike, eye appeal, and surface preservation. Coins that receive a perfect or near-perfect grade, like MS-68 or MS-69, are considered investment-grade collectibles. A 1995 double-die penny with additional minting anomalies, in near-perfect condition, and authenticated by a reputable grading agency, would undoubtedly be valued at a premium. Combine that with an extraordinary historical backstory, and you've got a coin that could very well approach or exceed the $5.9 million mark at a high-profile auction. Let's also talk about the role of the public and media attention in driving value. Whenever a rare coin is discovered or discussed on platforms such as news networks, collector forums, or YouTube, interest and demand surge. This buzz increases awareness and competition among buyers, which pushes prices higher. A single high-profile sale can set a precedent for value and make that coin a household name among collectors. For instance, when stories surface about a 1995 penny being sold or appraised for millions due to errors, the numismatic community takes notice, and more importantly, so do investors. There's also the mystery and excitement that surrounds these coins. The possibility that someone could be holding $1 million coin in a jar at home is thrilling. It keeps the community alive with hope and curiosity. These stories capture imaginations and prompt people to look more closely at what they've previously overlooked. In fact, many of the rare 1995 era coins were discovered by everyday individuals with a sharp eye and a bit of knowledge. This accessibility, the chance for an average person to stumble upon a treasure, adds a kind of folklore status to these coins. But beyond all the hype and excitement, there's also the undeniable craftsmanship and historical importance of the Lincoln cent itself. Introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, it was the first U.S. coin to feature the likeness of a real person. Over the years, it has undergone several design changes, but the profile of Lincoln on the obverse has remained a constant. That long-standing tradition makes errors in Lincoln cents especially interesting, as they represent rare deviations in an otherwise steady lineage of design. So what should collectors and enthusiasts do if they suspect they have a valuable 1995 penny? The first step is to inspect the coin under good lighting. Look for clear doubling in the inscriptions, especially "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." If doubling is visible, the next step is to have the coin examined by a professional. There are many resources available online and through local coin dealers that can provide preliminary evaluations. But for formal appraisal and authentication, sending the coin to a reputable grading agency is essential. Only with a certified grade and detailed analysis can a coin's true market value be determined. One of the fascinating aspects of the 1995 Liberty 1-cent era coin is how it combines technical anomalies with a human story. It represents a moment in time, a production hiccup that turned into $1 million artifact. It's not just a coin, it's a puzzle, a rarity, and a piece of American history rolled into one. And while the exact number of such rare coins is unknown, that uncertainty only adds to the allure. Somewhere out there, perhaps in a change jar, a drawer, or a forgotten roll of pennies, another such coin may still be waiting to be discovered. Today, we're talking about a coin that looks so ordinary, you'd never believe it could be worth a fortune. But it is. A staggering $4.2 million. Yes, you heard that right, $4.2 million for a single penny. Specifically, the 2006 D. Lincoln 1-cent coin. What makes this modern penny worth more than most people's homes isn't gold or silver. It's not made of some exotic material. It's a common-looking copper-plated zinc penny, with a D mint mark, signifying it was struck at the Denver Mint. But somewhere in its journey from the mint to someone's pocket, something went terribly, or maybe wonderfully, wrong. And because of that, this coin has become one of the most sought-after error coins in modern numismatic history. Now, let's dive into the details of how a 2006 D Lincoln cent became worth millions. This isn't just about one coin. It's about a perfect storm of minting errors, mysteries, and the incredible world of coin collecting, where rarity, curiosity, and human error all intersect. First, let's understand what we're dealing with. The Lincoln cent has been a staple of American currency since 1909. Designed originally by Victor David Brenner to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the coin has undergone multiple changes over the years. But the one thing that remained constant, until recently, is its place in people's pockets, often overlooked and underappreciated. The 2006 D penny should have been just another coin in the massive production run that year. But what happened was something unexpected. There are multiple reports of coins from the 2006 D series bearing striking anomalies. The most famous among them, and the one allegedly valued at over $4.2 million, is said to feature a jaw-dropping series of minting errors that break nearly every rule of the minting process. Collectors and experts alike have pored over this coin, and what they found was nothing short of astonishing. Let's break down the errors. First, there's the off-center strike. This means the coin's image and inscriptions aren't aligned with the physical borders of the coin. The design is shifted noticeably to one side. While minor off-center strikes are common and not extremely valuable, this one was so severe that it left part of the design entirely off the coin's surface, something that increases both curiosity and value significantly, but that's just the beginning. The most dramatic feature is what's known as a double die error. This happens when a coin is struck by a die that has been misaligned or improperly manufactured, resulting in a coin that shows duplicated images, especially noticeable on the date and lettering. On the 2006 D penny in question, the doubling is dramatic, so much so that Lincoln's profile and the words, "In God We Trust," appear duplicated, like a ghostly shadow overlapping the original image. This is not the kind of doubling that comes from mechanical issues like die deterioration. It's clear, sharp, and unmistakable, a classic and extremely rare example of a true double die. Even more shocking, there are reported anomalies with the mint mark itself. The D on this particular coin appears to be repunched, suggesting that the mint mark was applied more than once. This could happen if the die was altered after initial production, or if there was confusion during setup. Repunched mint marks were more common in earlier decades, but seeing such a clean and obvious repunch in a 2006 coin is exceedingly rare. Combine that with the doubling and off-center strike, and you have a trifecta of errors that would be nearly impossible to reproduce. But there's more. The coin also exhibits planchet flaws. A planchet is the blank piece of metal upon which a coin design is stamped. In this case, experts believe the planchet used may have been improperly prepared. Some have even speculated that it could have come from a rejected batch, or possibly even been a foreign planchet intended for a different denomination or country entirely. The texture, coloration, and sound of the coin all deviate slightly from what would be expected in a standard copper-plated zinc penny, raising even more questions and intrigue. Now, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's talk about how this coin even came to be noticed. Like many incredible finds, it started out unassumingly. Rumor has it that this coin was discovered in a handful of change from a vending machine. Yes, a vending machine. Someone was just trying to grab a snack, and instead, they unknowingly held a multi-million-dollar coin in their hand. This has happened before in the coin world, but rarely with such a modern and seemingly insignificant denomination. The collector who identified it realized almost immediately that something was different. The odd alignment, the doubling, the texture, it all stood out. The coin was submitted for grading and verification, and that's when the real buzz began. Multiple grading agencies examined the coin, including PCGS and NGC, the most reputable names in numismatics. Both organizations confirmed the errors and gave it an extremely high grade due to its sharpness and preservation. This is critical because even error coins must be in excellent condition to fetch top dollar prices. A beat-up penny with similar issues wouldn't get close to the same value. But this one was practically uncirculated. After the authentication, private collectors and auction houses began placing valuations on the coin, and due to the combination of extreme rarity, pristine condition, and curiosity, it was appraised at over $4.2 million. Some collectors even argued it could be worth more in the future if the right buyer came along. So how can something like this happen? The United States Mint is one of the most efficient and tightly run operations in the world. Every step of the minting process is highly controlled, monitored, and reviewed. Yet, errors do happen. Machines break down, humans make mistakes, and sometimes, the two combine to produce something utterly unique. In the case of the 2006 D. Lincoln cent, there are several theories about what could have caused the mishap. One theory suggests that a test run of dies was used accidentally for a production run. These test dies are sometimes altered or used to evaluate new processes and aren't meant for general circulation. If a test die with defects was mistakenly pressed into service, it could explain the dramatic doubling and misalignment. Another theory involves the possibility of intentional sabotage. It may sound like something out of a movie, but there have been cases in mint history where disgruntled employees created intentional errors. In the 1980s, a similar case came to light involving the creation of mule coins, where the front and back sides were from different denominations. Though rare and hard to prove, it is possible that someone inside the Denver Mint either accidentally or deliberately set up the press incorrectly and then let a few coins slip out into the world. There's also the idea that the coin was part of an experimental batch that was supposed to be destroyed but somehow escaped. This has happened before, especially when the mint was experimenting with new metals, plating techniques, or dyes. If that's the case here, the coin could be one of only a handful that ever saw the light of day, which would dramatically increase its value. And finally, some experts have speculated that the coin was minted during a transition phase. Occasionally, the mint changes equipment or processes and runs parallel systems. If old and new systems overlap even briefly, the result can be coins struck with mismatched elements, incorrect settings, or even entirely incorrect materials. Regardless of how it happened, what we do know is that the result is one of the most valuable modern era coins ever discovered. And it raises an important point: always check your change. Most people never give a second thought to the pennies they receive. They drop them in jars, toss them in drawers, or worse, discard them entirely. But history has shown time and again that some of the most valuable coins ever discovered were found in the most mundane ways. A sharp eye, a little bit of knowledge, and a lot of curiosity can lead to incredible discoveries. The 2006 D penny is now a legend in coin collecting circles. It's been the subject of blog posts, YouTube videos, collector forums, and even coin shows. Collectors travel across the country hoping to find another one like it. Dealers field calls every day from people convinced they have the $1,000,000 coin. And while many of those are false alarms, the story keeps the excitement alive. It's become a modern treasure hunt, with every penny suddenly seeming like a potential lottery ticket. Now, let's talk briefly about how to spot one of these rare coins. If you have a 2006 penny with a D mint mark, don't dismiss it. First, look for off-center strikes. The design should be well-centered, and if it's visibly shifted, that's your first clue. Then, examine the date and the inscriptions under magnification. Look for doubling, extra lines, shadows, or overlapping text. Pay special attention to "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the date. Next, inspect the mint mark. A repunched mint mark will show two impressions, either overlapping or slightly offset. This can be subtle or dramatic, but it's a major indicator of value. Lastly, examine the coin's overall appearance. Does it look or feel different? Is the texture slightly unusual? These could all be clues that you're holding something extraordinary, and if you think you found something, the next step is professional grading. Contact a reputable dealer or grading service. Never clean or alter the coin in any way, this can drastically reduce its value. Instead, place it in a safe holder and get it professionally evaluated. You never know. You might just be the next person holding a $4.2 million penny.